The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah! Go Cowboys!
This is the Players Lounge, broadcasting live from Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star. Now, your hosts, Barry Church, Anthony Dorsett, DeMontre Moore, and Newy Scruggs.
Yo, what it do? It's the Players Lounge. Yeah, we back in the house again. And you know what it is. It's some former players talking a little bit of football. I got in here with me today, my man, DeMontre Moore.
That's me.
And my boy, Jesse Holly.
Salt and pepper poppy.
Oh,
Sir,
yes.
Poppy's in the building.
And so, you know, we normally take our time to get into things, but we just gonna have to jump right into this one right now.
Hold on, you didn't tell the viewers who you was.
I'm sorry. And my name is Anthony Dorsett. Yes, and this is the Players Lounge brought to you by Aristocrat Gaming.
Yeah,
my bad. But I'm just a little bit excited about the news. You know.
Well, tell me more.
So I'm sure you've heard, and I'm sure everybody out there has heard already that the Cowboys just released Trayvon Diggs.
Dun, 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 dun.
Of course, you know, we got one game left in the season, few days left in the building, but for some reason they felt like this is something that needed to be done on the day off. And, you know, needless to say, you know, I'm sure it's a surprising move, but I'm sure a lot of people are not surprised by the move, just about happening at this time of the season, of course. Now, you know, with everything going into it, and I know you guys had a chance to talk about it a little bit earlier, hanging with the boys, but what is this message? What is this being said right now by making this move right now at this point in the time in the season? Like we said, days left. I mean, Jesse, what are you getting from this?
As far as a locker room, to me, nothing. As you guys all know, this isn't just performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Clarence Hill of DLF reported yesterday that one of his sources told him that this was a culmination of things that have happened over the course of the year. Some of it having to do with play, some of it having to do with training and rehabbing, some of it having to do with attitude, and of course we have the off the field stuff that's happening as well with Trayvon Diggs. It's a culmination of all of these things, and you know, I've had people, you know, tell me and talk to me about things of, and you guys understand this, where the outside don't hear what it sounds like in a defensive back meeting room. Right? When he telling the coach something, or when it's an offensive defensive meeting and he laying into the defensive coordinator in front of the room. I've been in those meetings. I've been in meetings. One in particular, my rookie year, you know, and hearing TJ Hushmanzada tell our wide receiver coach that, you know, hey, man, if you stop bothering me about this, I'll stop telling them that you don't know what you're talking about. and I'm a rookie. And I'm like, is this how this goes? You know, seeing Chad Johnson answer a cell phone in a meeting room and being like, hold on, coach, and answer his cell phone. And I'm like, so it's those type of things that you don't see, you know, over the course of time, you know, that was talked about that came from Trayvon Diggs. And again, no one's surprised at it. I think people didn't expect it to happen on Tuesday,
Right.
you know, of this week.
On
But
your off day?
everybody knew this was a part of what was going to happen to Trayvon Diggs in his future with the Cowboys.
Man, definitely. We seen what's that old saying they used to have? The roosters are coming home to crow. Like you said, this is a combination of things. It's the last game before the season. You just not getting active. You getting off IR. Like we've all said it that on the show plenty of times. You come to the Players Lounge to hear perspective. When you're coming off an injury, if you're that guy that kind of get rushed back from your injury just so you can kind of get out of there and they cut you immediately, it's because they've been waiting on it. Something has been building up, whether it's a combination of poor play, everything. But like I told you yesterday, it's a BOGO sale. Everything must go right now. And the one thing we can speculate why it happened, how it happened, but we know that people don't get fired one game before the season's over with and on your off day. Like it is what it is. And so with that being said, the one thing that is clear, you didn't do enough to stay here, because we all know that if you're good enough, they're going to keep you around no matter what. At least they're going to say, hey, you know what? We didn't have you here on the game. And for viewers that don't know about that, once you become a vet and you become vested, after you've been active for 3 games, your whole contract is guaranteed as a player. So if I get cut, I can say, hey,
for that year,
for that season, I can say, you know what? Cut me. I still get this money. So 9 times out of 10, with most vets, if you're on the roster for that time period, the organization is going to keep you on the roster. Yeah. So your play wasn't good enough. And that's the thing. When your play when everything else outweighs your play, you're extendable. And right now, he just showed that he was very extendable.
And to your point, Trayvon Diggs, if he is claimed off waivers,
right,
whoever team that picks him up will have to pay the $420-something thousand for that would be his salary for that, and then his $58,000 active bonus. So just about $500,000 is what will be owed to him if a team decides to pick him up off of waivers with the next couple. And then let me also say this for those who may not be aware of how the waiver wire works, right? Because there's a difference between being, released and being cut, right? When you have a guy that's cut, that means he now is free to go and to sign anywhere that he wants today. When you're released and you have to go through the waiver wire, it goes through a pecking order. So take last year's draft order, however that broke down, right? And then now, from team 32 to 1, they all get a chance to say yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. If everybody says no and you make it through the waivers, now you become basically an unrestricted free agent where you can go and sign anywhere you want. But it has to go through, every single team has to say yes or no, well, one or the other, and before you get to that point.
And if they claim you, they are responsible for your contract.
The contract.
And if
they
I'm
own
mistaken, he's still under contract until 2028, correct?
Correct.
No more guaranteed money, though.
Correct.
So
no more guaranteed, but if somebody picks it up and they just say, hey, we want to keep you for this right here, we can possibly restructure, do a lot.
Yeah. They can do that.
We're going to have the bar. What they say, we have the leg room to keep you there if we want to.
Yeah. Now, the crazy part about it is when you say go through the draft order from last year, and the teams that are typically going to be their worst teams are going to be those teams that are going to have their first pick at him.
Correct.
All right, but now you look at it, some of those teams that were the worst teams last year, or one of them pops to my mind right now, that would have a chance to possibly get him, that is going into the playoffs, there may be a favorable situation for him at the end of the day, because like a team like Chicago,
correct,
or and if you look at it like that, like the Cowboys, I know they're not in the mood of doing him any favors, but if something like that was to happen, like they've just done him an incredible favor.
Sure,
So that being said, but like for me, it was, as I'm thinking about it, and just like you, like it happened on a Tuesday, it's your day off. You know what I mean? I think Jay-Z and Too Short had the song, It Was All Good, just a week ago. He was just back active again, out there getting a chance to play and everything. And then, this pops up, of course, today. And it was just one of those type of things where I was just like, as I'm driving in here, I'm trying to figure out, like, what is it? You know what I mean? And he's been in the locker room up until this point. Like we talked about yesterday when we talked about who could sit down, and who shouldn't. And you made a valid point, like, hey, man, everybody's played up until this point. Like, what is this one game going to do to make so much of a big difference? You know what I mean? And to me, it was more of a statement about, I felt like it was more of a character statement than a football player statement about making this move today. And like you try to hit on to a little bit, like what's going on behind closed doors that we're not hearing or seeing.
Yeah, because the biggest thing is that Trayvon has been Trayvon since we started watching this thing unfold in training camp, when the whole thing about him not collecting the $500,000 because of he wasn't in place for the right amount of percentage of time to collect that escalator in his contract. And then the conversation began there. I mean, it started even before that, when they had the conversation, what led to him going to Miami to train. It was because when he was training here with Britt Brown and how the rift that they had about him not showing up on time, not working when he actually did end up showing up, and not taking the rehab seriously to get him back on the field the same way. So this is it. When you talk about it being a culmination, this is a thing that has been building for some time now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I made light of it in again with hanging with the boys. You're doing these things. You're kind of bucking the system. Then you put out your documentary, kind of almost saying that what the ownership is saying to you in the summertime. Yeah, he put a documentary out about the rehab process.
Put me up on game. Breaking news. I ain't heard
Trayvon
of
put a
it.
documentary out in the summertime, kind of like showing folks that how he was rehabbing and how he was getting himself better, and kind of going again. Counterintuitive to what the Cowboys were saying about his rehab.
Right.
He was showing folks that he was rehabbing and put a documentary out about that. But then, it reminded me of the 50 Cent beef, right? When 50 Cent was beefing with Ja Rule, and then you get like Fat Joe and the Lox and Jadakiss, and they all do a song with Ja Rule, 50 Cent saying, I'm trying to bury Ja Rule, and y'all keep jumping on songs with him. Mm-hmm. And that's when I look back in the summertime, and the Joneses and Michael Parsons are having their thing going on, their quote unquote, beef. And here you have Trayvon Diggs standing next to him every single time, right? So they're like, man, we trying to bury this dude, and here you are, you support them standing next to him in the media, on social media. God knows what's being said behind closed doors,
right?
In the meetings, in the locker rooms, so it's like all of that finally, I guess, just came to a tipping point of just, we're done.
And did you?
No.
So you look at it like this. Like, this is 2025. He was drafted in 2020, right? Okay. And just like looking at the stuff, 2021, he has a decent season his first year. Second year in the league, he's leading the league in interceptions. Mm-hmm. All right. All pro bowler, everything. Yeah. Following year, has a decent year. Of course, he had 11 picks that first year. The following year, he had 3 picks. There was a decline, of course. People ain't going that way that much no more if you're going to be going against him, the following year. So he didn't have as many interceptions, but he still made the Pro Bowl again. And he's made, 4 straight Pro Bowls, 3 straight Pro Bowls.
Did he deserve all those Pro Bowls?
Man, you know how it is. They always say...
Exactly. I was about to say, tell America how it is.
Yeah, so...
The Pro Bowl thing, don't get me wrong, it helps, it gets you paid, and some people, you typically don't get the Pro Bowl until it's the year after you earned it, unless you just did astronomical numbers, which he did. Mm-hmm. He was really good, but we all like to quote old school songs around here. What they say, the same thing that make you laugh is the same thing that make you cry. Like, he jumped balls and this and that, but guess what? Like, people, they knew what to do with that. So it wasn't that people didn't throw to him as much. They hit him with double moves, and he was getting beat over the top. Yeah. So it's like, you got exposed. You're a great, phenomenal athlete. And that's the one thing about the star. Certain people can handle the star and what comes with it, but we've all seen it. And I'm not saying it's necessarily him, but what comes with the impact. You're going to get more criticism, more opportunities. And with those opportunities, are you going to work hard to put your head down and say, hey, I'm going to get here and I'm going to stay here and show y'all that I belong here? Or are you going to say, hey, my stuff don't stink, and you start thinking a little too highly of yourself? Like you said, you sitting here bucking the system. So what you expect to happen to them? So for me, it's just like, nah, bruh. And it's like with the Micah thing I told you. Sometimes it's okay for an organization and a good player to disagree, because you get a new situation, a new environment, you might do good. Prime example, look at George Pickens. People labeled him a problem and all this and that, and now he's a top 5 receiver, maybe number 1 in the league right now, just for a new environment. So hopefully that does happen with Diggs right now. But for whatever the case may be, you wasn't productive enough for the guys to say, hey, let's at least keep you on a sinking defense until the end of this year. So between your production and the other stuff, you got to go, bro.
So it's a slippery slope, man. Because one of the things that my dad used to say to me all the time, and I've said it on here multiple times, is small things make big things happen. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And the culmination of events, and just the repeated offender, the guys that just habitually cross the line. You know what I mean? And but what the message that I'm looking at that is also sending to the other guys in the locker room at this point, because we've already talked about and just a culture shift.
Yes.
You know, something that needs to happen inside of the building, outside of it just being, you know, try to figure out how to win some games, but then at the same time, like, what is going to be the mood of the team or the heartbeat of the team and the culture of the team. And I think that this sends a message not only to the young guys, you know, who have looked up to Diggs and like knows how much money he's made and everything else like that. But this sends a message to some old dudes that might not be, you know, as far as like totally bought into the system and everything else like that. You know, it just goes to say that, you know, like you said, when your play is not up to par as your problems, you know, there's going to be an exit for you sooner or later. You know, we got to take our first break, pay some bills. But when we come back, I want to jump back into a little bit of this Trayvon Diggs thing and talk a little bit more about it and see what's your thoughts about, you know, leadership as far as now that he's outside of the building, who the Cowboys can lean on. Stay right here. Come back with us. We got to pay some bills. Players Lounge.
Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Kyle Yeomans here, sharing that same team that brought you Buffalo, bringing NFL casino games that show America's team on and off the reels. Aristocrat is changing the game with a new experience. Football fans, this means you can pick your team and play your team. Check out the Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Gambling problem? Please contact the U.S. National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over.
Crown Royal and the Dallas Cowboys are bringing back the Royal Rig for Season 2. See it in action at AT&T Stadium on Thanksgiving Day, where the Dallas Cowboys take on the Kansas City Chiefs, and around Dallas on November 26th and November 28th. Visit crownroyal.com to see where else the Royal Rig is stopping this NFL season. That's crownroyal.com. Please drink responsibly.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the Playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Returning for the 2025 NFL season, Boss reunites with the Dallas Cowboys to drop the next chapter of their iconic collaboration. The Boss Cowboys collection fuses fashion and football once again, capturing the fearless spirit of what it means to be your own boss. Just in time for kickoff, gear up in standout styles that show your team pride with a bold edge. Available now at nflshop.com/HugoBoss, HugoBoss.com, and Boss retail stores. # be your own boss.
Back to the Players Lounge.
Cowboys Nation, Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Global Life, is exclusively in the Dallas Cowboys app. Join the official fan club today to receive access to the Dallas Cowboys drops, where you can win game tickets, autographed items, exclusive experiences, and more. Download the app now to join.
Okay, Trey. Yeah,
we got some
good. That
reads,
boy
baby.
good. You know what I'm saying? Welcome back to the Players Lounge, brought to you by Aristocrat Gaming. It is me, Anthony Dorsett, and I'm joined today with two former ballers, Trey Moore, I'm sorry, and Jesse Holly.
Mr. Salt and Pepper Poppy.
Mr. Fourth and Long.
Yes, sir.
All right?
Yes, sir.
So,
Hey, yo.
hey, the TV show.
Hey,
Stop it, man.
I joke.
It's a cheesy
Now,
shit.
you know, we jumped all over it in the first segment talking about Diggs and just him being released on a Tuesday and everything else like that. Now, it's the last game of the season. You know, and the guys already got a lot on their mind anyway.
Before you jump into that,
all right.
Before you jump into that, that's going to be a great topic. I just wanted to add just a little bit of a nugget that just came across the news feed. So, of course, Trayvon Diggs is being released, right? And he'll have to go through waivers. And there was talks about that Trayvon Diggs didn't have an agent. Well, now he does.
Hold on.
Now he does.
Really?
Yeah, after the Cowboys waived Trayvon Diggs today, he hired
Mulligetta.
David Mulligetta of Athletes First to represent him. He will now go on waivers, and if he's unclaimed, he'll become a free agent. We all know who else is employed. Well, who else employs David Mulligetta as his representation? Number one now,
right?
Micah Parsons and George Pickens.
Georgie.
Yeah.
Georgie.
So that's a little nugget that Trayvon Diggs will now be represented by David Mulligetta.
Was he not represented by him beforehand?
No.
He was not?
No.
Boy, hey, Noop, you go out there and you get you one every time, don't you? Hey, with that being said, do you think, does that really have any influence on what's about to happen or what's about to go down now? Like, I mean, one, yes, his agent can go out there and talk for him and stuff like that, but if I'm a team, like, you just hired this guy. Like, it ain't like you known him or you been with him and this and that.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
It's your job to sell it to them.
Doesn't
First
matter.
of all, you got to go on the waiver wire. I can care zero if this and that. I got to pick you first.
But the thing is now because like you said earlier, he's under contract technically until 2028.
Yes.
With no more guaranteed money. Mm-hmm. So whoever team now wants to pick up, because once you claim me off waivers, you now pick up that contract.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
David Mulligetta's job is now, I come to you and say, let's restructure this deal. Let's now take this thing and make it a 2-year deal. Let's add a little bit of money up front. Let's get some more guarantees back on there, because the last place you want your client to be is on a contract with no more guaranteed money. Right. Mm-hmm. Right? Now the team has kind of like all the control with no guaranteed money on there. So David wants to come in there, make this thing a little bit sweet, because I think Trayvon is on the hook next year. His salary is like $13 or $14 million or something like that, in that ballpark next year. So he may want to bring this together and say, hey, let's just do a 2-year, $20-something million deal. Let's make it $15, $20 million guaranteed, and we'll move from there. And then start kind of, and I can see Trayvon with David Mulligetta as his agent moving how Darrelle Revis moved back in the day. Yeah. I'm not calling Trayvon Diggs Darrelle Revis.
I was just about to say.
I'm not calling Trayvon Diggs Darrelle Revis.
He ain't got that type of power.
But Darrelle Revis became a mercenary. He became a hired hitman. Yeah. And he started doing a bunch of these 1-year deals. 1 year, $17 million. 1 year, $20 million. He'll have a great year. He'll bounce somewhere else. He'll do another 1 year. And at the end of it all, he ended up coming out of the thing with over $100 million of guaranteed money that he had generated by being a 1-year mercenary across the league. So I can see Trayvon kind of taking that route for the next couple of years until if a team decides they want to sign him long term. If not, just keep being a 1-year higher hitman, 15 mil, 15 mil, 15 mil, 15 mil. You keep doing that enough times, man. You look up, you got 10 years in the league. I mean, he's already made a boatload of money in the front end. Everything now for him is just kind of icing on the cake. You know what I'm saying? It's cherry on top. I can go get $15, $20 million for the next 4 or 5 years. You look up, that's another $100 million.
Yeah, it is, but it's not Revis we talking about. Like
No.
Like
we're talking about good agents.
I know we talking about a good agent, but like, at what time do you stop overpaying it? Like, yes, he's done what he has done to get him paid to this point. Is there somebody out there that's desperate enough that's going to say, hey, can you get back to your stardom days and we might overpay you? Yeah, but that's going to be at best 1 year. And then after that, like, eventually
I don't think a 1 year, $14, $15 million deal is overpaying.
It's not to the right organization.
Revis was getting more than that. Like, Revis was getting more on the, like, in his time, he might have been getting $15, $17, $20 million. Now, again, this is 10 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. Right? That was high-end, top-level dollars.
That would be good money for Diggs right now, today, period.
I mean, it would be good money for him, but I don't see him getting that multiple times like that. Not with, like you said, he had 1 year where it was like, okay, you came out rookie year, you know, we trying something new, you make a position change, and like, oh, there's potential, there's upside. Then the next year, it's like, guess what? You go out here and you lead the league in picks and stuff like that. But after that, it ain't like you led the league in, you know, PBUs. It ain't like you led the league and came close to leading the league in picks again. It's not like you've been known for being a blammer. So it's just kind of like, at what point in time does your value start to diminish?
So right now they're saying elite corners. We're talking about like
Patrick Surtain,
Stingley, Stacey Horn. Which, by the way, those
Ball.
guys they're represented by David Mulligala.
I was just about to say.
Right.
He definitely
So like
represented.
Stingley, I think J.C. Horn. I know is Stingley. Maybe all three of them are. They all represent.
Horn is Stingley still.
So
is.
those guys, those guys are averaging on the upwards of like $24-25 million a year, and then they put in a high end starter, brings in anywhere between $10 to $15 million per year. A mid range to average starter brings in about $5 to $9 million a year. So I don't know where you're going to put Trayvon in that
second one.
And that if he's in that high end starter, as I said, he's in that $10 to $15 million.
I'm talking about the 5 to 9.
The $9 million.
I'm doing 5 to 9 because you haven't. It's just like a prison term, man. Hey, what have you done? 5 to 9 right now. Like in these last few years, I seen the stat was he has in the last 2 years he hasn't played over 10 games.
Right.
Like you've only appeared in 8. And I forgot what the other number was. And then the year before that, you were in, I think they said it was 13 games, something like that. So it's just like in 3 years, you haven't given me a full workload. You can't show me that you handle that. So it's like, I'm paying you for those Pro Bowls you got beforehand.
Oh, yeah, without question. But then you go out there and you get that agent, too, as well. And that agent comes with a gang of relationships, a gang of contacts we already know. So, like, in that, Diggs is putting himself into a position with his agent that has a little bit of leverage, too, at the end of the day. Like, we talk about, like, he hasn't played that much, and the stuff that's been out there hasn't been his best video that he's put out there. So, at that point in time, you're going to have an agent that can honestly speak to your behalf and kind of massage the situation a little bit more to try to get you upwards into that, and from that lower range into that higher range if he's looking for that. Because we already know, like I'm sure without question, he considers himself to be one of the top corners in the NFL right now.
Just because you consider yourself is two different things. Your agent, the guy that's going to sell you, has to believe it.
We know that.
And with that being said, I look at these two guys. David, he's the guy. He's one of the best agents that's out there right now. But also, with being those guys, he's had some guys that are cooperative, that are good clients, and then, you got Michael Parsons, those guys like that. But what about some of those other guys that have been high personalities that didn't work out or that's been strong, or say, hey, they feel like they're one of those guys? Because we all know Diggs to be a strong guy, a strong personality. Between him and his brother, it's been proven time and time again. So I wonder, how is this going to work out with the agent? Is the agent going to just sit here and say this is a money grab, or like, because you got to go in there and sell them? And also with selling them, like you said, just like you get relationships that come with that, getting your agents, you also get those same connections, whether they're good or bad, that has come with that, and vice versa. With him getting that player, he got those same good connections and bad connections that are going to come with that. So it's not just as peaches and roses. It's not peaches and cream when you sit here and say, hey, he can come demand starter money and this and that, because look how it ended here with Micah Parsons, his last client that was here and stuff like that. What's not to say that when you're coming out of this building, what's going to come with you outside of the building? The stats, the reputations, the off-the-field stuff?
Let me just give you a rundown of David Mulugeta's current defensive back clients. I'll start from the least and work our way to the top. Jack Jones out of Miami is making $1.1 million. Noah Igbenogany, I think he's in Washington or somewhere else now, $1.5 million. Will Johnson, Arizona, making $2.3 million. Eric Stokes of the Vegas Raiders making $3.5 million. Johnny Barron of Denver, $4.5. Kenny Moore, Indianapolis, $10 million.
That's my boy.
Brandon Stevens of the Jets, $12 million. DJ Reed of the Detroit Lions, $16 million. Carl Davis, $18 million of the New England Patriots. A.J. Terrell, Atlanta Falcons, he's making $20. Jalen Ramsey of Pittsburgh, $21.1. J.C. Horn, $25. Derek Stingley, $30. So those are the clients that...
He don't have Minka no more? I thought he had Minka at one point in time. But see?
Yeah. So those are the clients right now from a DB's perspective. Let me look at safeties. And he has a bunch of safeties as well.
I mean, he kind of reminds me of like when Drew Rosenhaus was at his peak.
And so that's the guy who's walking in the door and saying, "I need this," and not because it's Trayvon Diggs. A lot of times that agent has that ability to kind of move that needle a little bit because you're going to want another guy that he may have on your roster that might need to get signed or wants to get signed, or some guy that's about to come out in the draft this year, he's probably going to have at Athletes First. So it's always about, like, give or take a $2-3 million deal here because you're going to make sure that I re-sign this dude and he doesn't go out in the free agent market whenever he becomes a free agent. So it's always that give and take, but those are some of the names that David Malugeta has on his ledger right now and the number that they're looking at. So he has a bunch of guys at that 10 million plus threshold that aren't first year guys.
That's going to be the biggest asset for him. And it has been time and time, or David has proved it time and time again. Back from my tenure when I was signed with Athletes First and Joby Branyan was over there with them guys, he has done a great job at keeping a stable and to leverage that. And that's been one of his key calling cards. And so, like you said, if I'm Trayvon Diggs, hey, I'm talking to him, hey, I'm on this roster, but like you said, if I see myself like those other guys, use that as leverage of going somewhere else and saying, hey, can we come get that? And it's tend to work out for him. So I hope it works out for him now. And the one thing I guess that's really the most puzzling thing coming out of this equation, and Jesse, you're a fat guy, I see you over there on your phone. How is this going to affect the salary cap? And obviously he didn't have no more dead money and stuff like that, but with the Cowboys cutting them at this time, is there any ramification or going to be blow back as far as oh, you got dead money here?
Yeah. That was going to happen regardless. So they'll have to have some dead cap money that'll eventually pop up.
Does any of that get offsetted if he gets claimed by or organization?
I don't believe so.
Nah, I mean his guaranteed money is done.
So the dead money is there, whatever is going to be there.
Okay. Yeah. So he's pretty much done with that. All right, we got to take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to finish this thing out and talk about a little bit more besides the Diggs situation. We're going to get into the mindset of this last game because these boys still do have to play a football game. It's the Players Lounge, brought to you by Aristocrat Gaming. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Kyle Yeomans here, sharing that same team that brought you Buffalo, bringing NFL casino games that show America's team on and off the reels. Aristocrat is changing the game with a new experience. Football fans, this means you can pick your team and play your team. Check out the Cowboys-themed casino games developed by Aristocrat, a proud sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Gambling problem? Please contact the U.S. National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-GAMBLER for 21 and over.
It's game day at Raising Cane's. If you want to order like a champ, it's the action off the field you need to focus on. The only play you're running is chicken. So what combo are you picking? Make it a perfect season. We've got tailgates of hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce, and jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. All available to order online or on our app. This season is about to be unbeatable. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, one love.
Hey, Cowboy fans. Keith Davis here, former Cowboys safety.
Keith Davis into the end zone.
You know what separates champions from the rest? Making the right move at the right moment. With blockchain.com, that's never been easier. The Cowboys became America's team by striking bold when it mattered most. Now it's your turn. Invest like your icons with blockchain.com. Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys today to get started and learn more. That's blockchain.com/Cowboys.
Back to the Players Lounge.
The Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year Award, presented by Nationwide, recognizes NFL players who have exhibited Sorry, I said exhilarated. I was so excited. That's what I'm saying. Excellence on the field, and who's passionate to impact lives extended beyond the game. Yes, not just on the field, but beyond the game. Help the Dallas Cowboys winner, my boy and former teammate Solomon Thomas, raise funds for the defensive line by casting your charity challenge. Vote at NFL.com/Man of the Year. Tweeting, use hashtag WPMOY challenge. Walter Payton Man of the Year. Shout out to Solomon Thomas. He's always been an impact on the community. Just defensive lineman, if y'all haven't heard of it, it's about mental health. He started it because of his sister, and he has been over this whole mental health aspect thing before it was popular, before people was tweeting. Yeah. So please go vote for Solomon Thomas.
Big up to Solomon Thomas. Thank you for coming back. It's the Players Lounge, brought to you by Aristocrat Gaming, Jesse Holly, DeMontre Moore, and I am Anthony Dorsett. Okay, so everything has been about Diggs up to this point.
Yeah.
And we've more or less not talked about the rest of the team. And regardless of what's going on this Tuesday, they still got to play a game. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it's going into the last game of the season. They already know they've been eliminated from the playoffs, of course. And, I think that we've all probably played in the game like this at one point in time through our careers. Trey, what's your mindset, knowing that the season is over, prepping for this last game, and just, where are you at, in your thought process, and just take the fans through it so they can understand.
As a player, I'm gonna take them through there. As the guy, and if I had to go into the media, I'm gonna say everything that's right. It's about the game and it's about winning. But they used to always say back in the day, there ain't no I in team, but there damn sure is a me. And at this point, the last game, it is about me. And when I say me, I need to be the best me that I can be, because it's not about just am I going to be here and what I'm doing for the Dallas Cowboys. There's 31 other teams that you're going to be interviewing for. Hopefully you are here because nobody wants to move and all that, and you want to have that certainty, but you're earning stuff. They just showed you that one of the highest players on the team, if not the high, no, he's not the highest, Dak is, but one of the highest players, he was extendable. He's out of here. They've been training for people, and on a losing organization, everybody can leave. So for me, I'm going out there and I'm trying to put up the stats of my life within the system, playing for the DC. And you got to look at that too, because as a player, y'all know how it is once we see at the end of the year, we know the defensive coordinator is going to be back here next year, so I need to impress him to make sure I make the plays for him. Oh, the OC is going to be back here? Let me impress him. He's not going to be back here, but let me just go out here and make enough plays to where it rings enough bells between the fans and everybody else. And for Jerry, for a guy that likes numbers in the building, I'm going out there so people can keep talking about, to just build up my resume as good as I can, to where after that I'm going to see where the chips may fold.
What about you, Jesse? What was your mindset like going into the last game of the season?
Same thing, perform. This end of the year game for me was like the fourth preseason game. I played when there were still 4 preseason games.
Right.
It was an audition. It was a flat out audition. I wanted them to know that the last thing that they saw of me was productivity. And because you're right, when they go into that offseason and just like how they begin the season, they get into that draft room, they get into that training camp room, everybody's name goes up on the board. Mm-hmm. And they start saying, what is the guy that we're going to bring back? Well, all right, cool. Dak's name going over there, he's staying board, right? His CD name going over here, he's staying.
Williams.
You know what I'm saying? Certain names go right, they here.
Right.
And they start looking at where do we need to address things in the draft, right? And that's not just first round pick, second round pick. That's how do we build out our roster. And I always wanted my name to be a name that got shifted to the other side, or they had to make a very long, hard, tough decision on putting me from the position of being here or not being here.
Right.
So going out there, perform, blocking, assignment alignment, not messing up no plays, still showing that I'm on all 4 core special teams and making plays in there and getting all that kind of stuff done. So, going out there and just really, really, really performing, trying to make a play, trying to make a name for myself, trying to put resume out there. This resume game for me. They're playing the Giants. Giants got to see me too, right? And another thing that I tell all young players this, and this still rings true till this day. I tell all my young guys that I talk to, the guys that I've trained before in the past, hey man, that I'm offensive side for me. Hey dog, that tight end coach, he a tight end coach today. He an OC in 3 years. Yeah. That wide receiver coach, he a wide receiver coach today. He might be a wide receiver coach on another team in 3 years. That OC that you got now, he might be a head coach in 2 years, or OC somewhere else in a couple years. Running, and they watch everything that you do, who you are as a player. So, for guys like you talked about defensively, if Matt Eberflus is not going to be here next year as a DC, he might get a DC job somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Jack Sanborn got a job for that very reason. There's guys on this football team who was with him in Chicago, or that he knew in his travels, that he brought on because they knew his system. He was familiar with them. They had traits that he liked. So I want to make sure that I'm still being cool, not disrespecting those guys, not showing those guys my tail. You know what I'm saying? Really being a professional about what I do, because that coach may go somewhere else at the end of this year. It happens every single year. And now I want him to be like, when he gets to his new situation and he's looking at guys that come bring in and fill out his roster, because every position coach that goes somewhere else usually gets a guy or two.
Yeah.
A special team coach gets 2 guys. DC will get a couple guys. OC will get a couple guys. Well, you just kind of always want to be in that number of guys when you look up and go, you know what? Oh, yeah. This kid Holly, man, he can play all 4 special teams. He knows. I know he knows all the 4 spots of receiver. Man, professional. He's going to show up on time. He's going to be good in the locker room. He's going to be good in the meeting room. Sign him up. Bring him in. Next thing you know, you'd have survived another year in the league, whether that's at league minimum or whether they bumped you up or whatever it may be. Another year of making 17 weeks of what we were making for 17 weeks is a good living. It's good eating. You know what I'm saying? Man. And so you want to just parlay that into as many of those 17 weeks as you can, because that money is good. That insurance is good. Those benefits are good. The 401k is good. all that's good. And so that was always my mindset.
And you talking over there like, I can't help but think of Noah Brown. Like, he was here and people was like, oh man, he was a core special team guy. And guess where he went? He went up there and somehow in a talented Washington room, he's a starting receiver and he's still doing his thing on special team, which he was a core guy here. And then not even just the guys, it's who you playing. Because like you said, you going over here playing the Giants this last week, somebody across that other side of the field going to be like, man, I remember how for 2 games, I always seen him flying on special teams, doing this and doing that, to where somebody's going to love you. So you got to just go out there and play, man. That's all it is this. And if anything, this has a little more accelerant on it. Just a little more, just a little fuel to the fire, because it's like you said, the big name guys they're not going to typically, I'm not going to say 100%, unless you didn't piss somebody off majority of the time, the big name guys you aren't going to see in this game. This is going to be like an honorary 4th preseason game. So we're going to see the bottom of this roster, linebackers and running backs get out there. So I'm ready to see it. And the Giants showed last week that they still got some of their starters in there. So this is a good opportunity to build up that resume.
Yeah, it was the same way for me. Of course, being a 6th-round draft pick, working my way through special teams to become a starter. And, once you're a part of that grind, that's just basically your grind throughout your career. So for me, it was the same way. Finish strong. Of course, it was always more so deflating not being able to go into the playoffs, okay? And especially if you play in a team, like the Cowboys playing the Giants, neither one of them are going to the playoffs. But if you were playing a team in that last game that you knew was going into the playoffs, it didn't matter, if they played their starters for the whole game or if they played some of their backups, we still wanted to try to ruin their Christmas or ruin that part of the season for them if you could. So it was always one of those type of things, whereas, finish strong, go out there. The whole thing is you never think as a player hey, I might get hurt this week, but you damn sure want to make sure that hey, nothing's gonna happen this week at all. Last game of the season, you want to finish strong, like we talked about. But at the same time, it's just like I said, it's kind of deflating. To know that hey, I'm already thinking about if you don't live in town, shipping my cars wherever I got to go. You know what I mean? Packing up everything, tearing down the house, taking everything everywhere else you got to go and stuff like that. So, It's really sad.
It's sad, but it's accelerant, baby, because I'm telling you, me being sad that I got to pack up this thing, everything that I'm frustrated from the season, from the reps that I didn't get throughout the season, I'm taking it out on this guy, and it was my sole purpose. Just like I think about when Barry talked about Jesse, he was like, yo, I didn't want to go against him in practice. Like, that was me coming into this last game. Like, I made it a point to where it was like, whoever was going against me, the people in the front office going to look and be like, man, I don't know if we should bring him back the way he got punished this last year. Like you want to see who still fights. You want to see who's good, and you just want to see who don't quit. And so at the end, when it's like, when we ain't got nothing to play for, now it's me, this right here. That you hear, is that still thumping right there? And I guarantee this, it's thumping for me. Is it thumping for you? And if it ain't, boy, guess what? You're going to be looking at that employment line next year. So I get it, but for guys, and Jesse, you worked your way up through it, AD, but I know I've heard Jesse really talked about it to where it was like, yo, I really was out here like trying to embarrass this guy just so he didn't get that job or that leg up. I don't want to build his career. So like, you didn't have none of those battles like towards the end of it where it was like, man, I just got to punish him.
Man, it was that was anytime. So anytime being a special team player, you're not going to get those reps on defense or whatever. So anytime you got a chance to see, say, another high round draft pick on special teams, and to say if you're the guy watching the gunner and they got their first round dude out there running down on gunner, yeah, you want to try to dog that dude out as much as possible. Yeah. It's basically like, in some ways for you, it's also a measuring stick for you too as well at the end of the day. But anytime that you get a chance to like raise your level against any type of competition, you definitely want to try to do it. But it's just one of those type of things that after it's all said and done and you're sitting at home that next week and you sitting there watching TV and you seeing everybody else playing and you sitting there like, man, if I could have just had, or if we would have just had another opportunity to do things a little bit different or whatever the case may be. And so, what we're looking at now as the Cowboys season comes to an end is like, what has changed? Mm-hmm. What has changed for y'all? And I'm being serious because like you guys have had the opportunity to play in this building. I never have, and I've always seen it from the outside. So, like, what has changed from and we could just concentrate on from the beginning of this year, from the last regime with McCarthy, to Shoddy this year, and just keep it there because, of course, to go back when you played and go back when you played and everything, there's has to have been some. But what has been the biggest change that you've seen this year, if any?
I've been a part of the Cowboys organization since 2009, on and off the field. Played here to 2012. Then I've been covering this team since 2013 with an affiliate, and then I came over here in 2017, Chris, 2018, 2017.
Boy, you've been here for a minute.
And I guarantee if we went through the archives and they pulled up things that I talked about in 2018, 2017, are still something that we're talking about today. Not much has changed. The names have changed.
Right.
The faces have changed. The coaches have changed. We're still talking about some of the same bull crap that we've been talking about for 10, 20, 30 years. And it hasn't changed. Back in my time, we were talking about an undisciplined football team, a team with no heart, a team with players who feel like entitled. We've been talking about playing bad football. An injured player goes down, all of a sudden they can't function. I've lived it. I've lived it. A side of the ball playing extremely well while the other side is playing horribly, offensively and defensively. Flip them. I've talked about it. I've talked about it for the last. I've been here, like I said, since 2009, on and off the field. If we dug up some of the old stuff that we talked about, and I just changed the names, the conversations are very similar today. Yeah. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I like to play devil's advocate. We all know this. Majority of that is true. From what I've seen from this season to what I said at the beginning of the season, it has standed true. The only thing that's going to make me a little optimistic about it is the fact that we seen them go out there and trade for guys. We see them releasing somebody that is not good for the organization, whether it's from a leadership standpoint or playing on the field. People typically in the past have gotten rid of people when it's way past their prime. And so what we see now with them cutting Diggs right now, with Shotty coming in there kind of being a rah-rah coach or a player's coach first, I see them trying to change the culture. I see them trying to get away from what has been systematically embedded within this organization for, like you said, over multiple decades. Those things are there, but it's a little hope, but it's not enough hope. I said the culture has not changed, but the foundation is starting to shift. And when I say shift, I see the shift happening with the releasing of people, the bringing in big-name players through trades and acquisition, and through maybe we'll see how I go with this coaching staff, but just letting Shotty do it the way that he wanted to and not implementing as much. So to answer your question, the culture has not shifted, but the foundation is starting to be rattled. It's been broken up. We're starting to see it to be demolished. Can they build off of this? And that's the problem in the past. They have not been able to build off of any of the foundation.
Yo, so that being said, as the Cowboys go out and as this season comes to an end, you have to try to find some positives to hang your hat on. And, that number one offense was definitely something that was a big plus in the building. And the moves that they made to try to change up the defense, they definitely got some good pieces in place. And we just got to be optimistic more so than anything. Because, like, for me watching from the outside in, I'm like Jesse. I've seen and heard the same thing for so long. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it gets to a place like where I'm like, who in the building ain't telling the truth? Like, who's not holding who accountable, like, right now? Like, and who's honestly looking at that and being like that's okay, and instead of being like, nah, that's not what it is at all. So it just goes to say, and we'll see what Shotty continues to do as the culture begins to change around here. Like you said, they got those foundational pieces, and just me being a Cowboy fan and this being my team, like my entire life, regardless of who I played for, not even ever being a part of this organization, I always say we, and it's just something that's just like, I guess you could say, almost inbred in me. Mm-hmm. And so that being said, as hard as I am on them, I definitely want to see them do good. You know what I mean? And it goes without saying that I would love to see the Cowboys have some of those great years that I witnessed when my dad was part of it. And then I got to play against some of those teams in the 90s that were unbelievable. You know what I mean? This has been the Players Lounge, brought to you by Aristocrat Gaming. Thanks for tuning in. DeMontre Moore, Jesse Holly, I'm Anthony Dorsett. We'll see you next time.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!